Hi, everybody. This is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming back to my podcast. It is Sunday, May 8, 2022. Beautiful day we had today in Connecticut. A little chilly, but it's Mother's Day. So it's a very special day. Even though I celebrate Mother's Day as much as I can, every moment that I can with my mom because she has done so much for us. And now that she's ill, I try to spend you know, time wisely with her. And it was so much fun with her today. Seeing her, playing with her, and just, sharing with her. It was funny because we were making videos. I'm like, people, friends and family on Facebook, they want to see you. And I kept saying to her, "Did you smile?" When I was taking the picture, and she's like, at one point she goes, "No," and then in the second video she said, "Yes, I did smile." It was just funny to see that. But anyways, I'm here, guys, to share a topic with you because God had put this in my heart for the last couple of days. I understand that God has been working with me. It's very obvious, right? So I have been sharing a lot of my personal stories when it comes to my career in my Instagram live that I do. And if you are interested, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Julissa Designs. Also on Twitter or YouTube, you can find me by Julissa Designs. But um, that's career, fashion, all of that stuff, and how I got started. But God also reminded me of something, and episodes and things that I had experienced as a child that looking back at it now, I'm like, this was some type of manipulation. And the reason that I say that is because we as human beings, we're so quick to judge when somebody comes and reports abuse in any form years after, right? So we have seen it many times with these Hollywood celebrities, and right now we have that huge case of Johnny Depp and his wife. I think her name is Amber. So speaking about that, just make a parenthesis about that because somebody asked me my opinion about Johnny Depp trial and all of that stuff, and I'm like, my biggest shock my biggest shock about this trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Rose is that everybody seems to me like in social media that they're all against Amber, right? I believe that's her name. And I mean, I feel like everybody's against Amber, but I'm thinking, why are people like that, right? Why are people um crucifying her? And it must be so traumatizing for her. If everything she's saying is true and actually happened, why are people so quick to judge and make fun of her? It is there have been so many TikTok that you can see of people doing plays of what her confessions are and things like that. And let me tell you something, we have to be so careful about judging somebody who had experienced some type of trauma, abuse, manipulation, physical abuse, verbal abuse. We have to be so careful um how we talk about them, right? We think that everybody's a victim. A lot of the times we judge by saying, she's just playing dumb, she's a victim, this and the other. But we have to be so careful. Let me tell you, the reason that I'm speaking about this, it seems to like a lot of the times you speak more from experiencing anything, right? So I remember one time that I had a situation where I was living and it got physical, right? And I couldn't believe it. I was one of the biggest shock in my life, as an adult to a situation to get physical, right? And the way everything unfolded. And I remember sharing that with one of my friends, which is no longer my friend, not because of that, but I just couldn't feel, I, you know, I couldn't feel like I could trust her. But I remember sharing that because at that point when that happened, right, you're in such a shock, right? And I remember sharing that, and her reaction really just gave me chills. It kind of discouraged me for even speaking about it. There are people like it's so hard to describe when somebody comes to you and shares something so deep like that. Not like, why do people think that everybody's playing the victim? Everybody assumes that you're a liar. Like, why would any you I can understand like people can make up stuff. Like I get it. But a lot of the times the people that make up fake stuff like that, they have a track record, right? They have a track record. They are known for that. Okay, it's not their first case. So why will anybody make it seem like you are a liar? And their response from her was, "Really? That actually happened?" And she kept looking back at me and saying, "Really? Really?" And I'm thinking to myself, now I have to make you believe that it actually happened? That to me is crazy. And I remember feeling so disappointed on myself that because I don't really open myself up to people like that. But I was driving, we were going somewhere, and I was driving, I'm sharing that with her. And she couldn't, it's like she didn't believe it that could actually happen. And then I felt disappointed on myself, and I also felt like I was, you know, here's the thing. Like when somebody agrees, when you tell somebody this is happening to me, I think I mentioned this in one of my previous episodes. When somebody agrees of something somebody said to you that was not nice, let's just say, okay, it's like, let's just say an example, right? Because I talk about food shaming and all of that. When you're at a restaurant, let's say somebody shames you because of the food that you're ordering, and you want to get some type of support, and you tell the person that's there with you, say, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable here. Can we go?" And they say to you, "Shh, shh, shh," like, don't make it such a big deal. A lot of the times when the people do that to you, it's because they're agreeing with it. And the way she reacted to my comment, because I was just trying to open up, trying to get some type of advice, okay? And the way she asked me, really, really, like, in her face, I will never forget the look on her face. Like, and I'm thinking to myself, you think I will actually make something up like that? And you know what the issue is here? It's that people don't believe that somebody so well liked, right? Let's just say Johnny Depp. People have the reputation. They're so well liked. They have followers, tons and thousands of followers. They will never want to see them in a negative light. So they like to keep that clear. And if you're coming against that, they're not going to believe you. Right? So the person that asked me earlier today, I said to them, she's like, "What do you think about the Johnny Depp and Amber Rose thing?" And I said, let's just say I don't understand why people are so um against her, right? I haven't watched much of it, but I feel like everything she says, everybody's just shutting it down, saying it's fake. And let me tell you, I said to them, let me tell you about these Hollywood celebrities. These people, um, they have been a track pattern of these people being abusive towards others, right? This is nothing new. This is nothing new. And this is why, you know, we have seen, and I said to her, let's just imagine it's not Johnny Depp and it's somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Because people think celebrities and actors are the character that they play on the movies, right? So when they say, let's just say Leonardo DiCaprio is being abusive to his wife, people are going to have an extremely hard time believing it because they see Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack from Titanic, sweet, loving Jack who's very protective of women. And the thing is, like, those are two different persons, right? And people say, but Amber Rose this and like Johnny Depp has a character that you might not be familiar with. And this is why you have to be so careful about saying that everybody's just like she's playing the victim and he's so innocent. Okay, a couple years back, there was a newscaster. Her name is Carmen Dominici, right? Very well known in the Spanish television networks, and she was dating another newscaster, right? He's also very well known, and she mentioned one episode that happened to her where she went to this wedding, very famous wedding of somebody, I don't even know who it was, in the Dominican Republic, right? So when they went through the wedding, like, this is what they do, right? People who want to hide who they are, this is what they do. They go through the whole, it's, as long as they're in public, they will never show their true colors. They try so hard to keep that secret, right? And so Carmen Dominique, she kept saying, we went through the wedding, we had a great time, and something happened. He thought that I was probably looking at somebody or flirting with somebody. And the minute we got to the hotel, this man beat me up. And can you imagine that? Like, you think everything is cool, and then out of nowhere it goes south completely. And there you are in a wedding, celebrating with people, trying to get to the hotel room, you get beat down by this man, right? And these men do this stuff, right? Because their ego is so high. They're so charismatic. They're so liked by everybody, right? They have a great reputation because these people are so great at keeping their reputation, but they're so abusive behind closed doors. And that was physical for her. I know she got divorced and all of that. She moved on. It happened years ago. But I'm saying, like, people are gonna have a hard time believing it. Right? How dare you say something negative about this person that we like so much? And let me tell you, when it comes to somebody reporting an abuse, you have to be so careful, right? How you react to it and your response, right? And even your looks, like I said. Um, you know, it's so sad when you're trying to speak out and somebody just shuts you down completely. Not only shuts you down, but also calls you a liar. That's double abuse right there for the victim. And we have to be so careful, right? So, speaking about that, I was thinking also, like, God had put me in, I know God is, working with me in the past couple months, beginning of the year, and He has shown me so many things about some of the friends that I thought were my friends that they're not really my friends, right? And people that only, there are people who are just monitoring you, right? And they want to be reaching out to you, this type of messages that are so weird to me. Okay, because there's no longer a relationship need, right? It's basically, I'm going to text you every 3 months, hey, how's everything, how's your business, how's the work? Okay, okay, just checking on you. Have a good day. There's no like, hey, you want to go out to the dinner? Let's get together. Hey, will I see you in church this day and the other? There's nothing like that, right? So what do we call this? These are monitoring friends. There's no such thing as checking in if you're not willing to even see that person see that friend in person. So what is this, right? What is this? Um, and I think about that, right? Everybody has lived busy life. I understand that. Like, I'm very also I'm very busy as well. But if you can call me and say, hey, you want to get together? Let's do that. Well, like, sure, let's make time for that, right? Because I want to keep you as a friend. But that has been non-existent lately. And then people want to, say things. And the other, then the crazy thing that God has shown me is, like, you see these people then checking into places, right? Because now you're on Facebook, you can see so much. And then you see these people checking into places with other friends, right? They never want to share their own or the other friends with you. And I'm like, what kind of friendship is this that I have with this person? This is so strange, right? Like, who are you kidding at this point? And then also stuff that God had been revealing to me that I wanted to share, which is like the main topic of this episode, is the fact that a lot of the times, right, the victim of abuse doesn't see doesn't see the abuse as an abuse into much later in life, right? So my birthday is in a couple days, right? And I know 100% that God is working with me with a lot of episodes that happened to me as a childhood and throughout my teenage year and adulthood, also dealing with my mom and all of that stuff, that looking back at it now, I'm like, that was pure manipulation on their part. That was pure manipulation, conniving type of setting that it was done to me as a person. Like, I have feelings. I'm not stupid. And I remember dealing with so much stress in the beginning when my mom got sick, and so much fake stuff that was told to me. I would get calls like right when I was leaving work. Like, the whole day was perfect until it was 4:30. I'm not even in my car yet, and I'm getting calls that everything's going downhill in my house. And I'm thinking to myself, how crazy is that? That the timing is just when I'm leaving work. right? It's almost like a way to control where you're going after work. And I'm like, not only is manipulation, it's a way of control. Okay, it's a complete abuse of a person to another person, right? And if you decide to go someplace after work and you don't address these crazy emergencies that's happening, you are the biggest um worst person in then it comes to verbal abuse because the reaction expected from you is not there, right? And I'm like, wow, that's so crazy because at the time I didn't see it, and there I was unable to even sleep because the anxiety. I couldn't even, like, there were moments in my time back then that when my mom first started getting sick, that I couldn't even look at my phone. I'm like, somebody's gonna call. Like, every call was like crazy to me. I'm like, somebody's gonna text me. I know I couldn't even look at my phone. And I was like, this is insane. Like, if I shut my phone down in something and I don't answer on time, I'm the worst person alive, right? Because that would be basically looked down like that, right? If I'm at an event, I remember one time I was at an event and I'm at the event with my merchandising, right? Trying to promote my business. And I will get calls, I will get messages. And I'm thinking, wow, there's no consideration here. Hey, she's at an event. And there I was in my table looking all panicky and nervous, right? To the point that I'm like trying to close and be like, you know what? Forget this vendor, man. I'm just gonna go home and deal with this emergency that's happening. And the crazy thing is, like, a lot of the times I will get home and the emergency was already dealt with. So what was the point of that? It's a way of manipulation and control of my persona to not only not enjoy the time that I was doing with my vendor event, but also manipulate how I will go about the rest of the time that day, right? So it's just crazy. And let me tell you, you have to be so careful. Like, I keep repeating myself, how you react when somebody comes and, you know, tells you stuff that's happening in their life. Because abuse is crazy. Manipulation, control, verbal abuse, physical abuse. It's crazy. You don't have to have a black eye to for somebody. Why do people always expect you to have some type of physical mark for them to believe that, yeah, you went through abuse, you went through trauma, right? Verbal abuse is getting a roll of messages, saying so many bad things about you and who you are because you decided to, you as an adult made a decision, right? To not do something. And that person perhaps didn't like it, right? And this could happen anywhere, not just family setting. It can also happen, we have this situation at workplaces. We have workplace bullies, right? These managers, micromanagers who are bullies, right? And they are so charming. They get to the top, right? They're charming, they're likable, they always have the perfect answer, but you cannot even say good morning to them because they'll be like, you I didn't like how you talked to me today. And then these are the people in position right now, right? And HR in a lot of companies is basically trash, okay? Because they rather hire somebody who is charming and looking at, wait, is this person micromanagement? Is this person traumatizing the staff? Right? They have no idea. And all of that contribute to trauma on a person. Nobody wants to hold other people accountable. They just want to look at them down and watch everything they say, and that's like people who are management who believe that micromanagement is the way to go are the worst managers ever. They have no compassion, no empathy for nobody. They don't care. Like, if they see you slacking on your work, instead of saying, hey, everything at home is good, you want to talk, you want to, I want to know how you're doing, this and that. They want to say, you're not being productive, I'm going to write you up. And they think that they can have their own daughters and their kids and thinking that life is just going to skip them by. Life repeats itself. And I'm trying to bring judgment to anybody, but let me tell you, there's something called the circle of life that you don't know if in 10 years from now you're going to be having a conversation with your daughter where she's experiencing the same manager that you were to some other people. And that's when you start remembering all the damage you did. Okay. And that is very avoidable, but people don't want to do that. They're so high into their titles. So if they can traumatize somebody who's been at the company for 10 years and make their life horrible and actually make them to quit, they feel so accomplished, and it's so crazy that people think like that these days. So going back to the whole topic here, it's like abuse is not sometimes recognized until after, years after. And then it's so crazy because people be like, wait, why are we hearing about this? Is the Cosby, why are the Cosby ladies coming out 20 years after? Because that's how abuse is. I am no psychologist whatsoever. I'm not therapist, okay? You guys know I have a degree in fashion, but from what I've seen and what I have experienced, there are things that stay in your mind, right? And then looking back at it as an adult, right? Because you are now more mature. You can define whether it's a manipulation or just somebody just having some type of conversation with you, right? You start to define things more clearly now because you are an adult, right? And it could take 20 years for somebody to say, "Oh wow, that guy was giving me alcohol to sleep with me." Okay, and I was lied to. Okay, I look at, and that this brought me to this whole thing about the Michael Jackson victims, right? And people are like, no, Michael Jackson never did that, this and the other. But like, you don't have just one person. You have people who are coming out and saying this happened, this, the other, right? And sometimes, a lot of I feel like a lot of the times abuse is not people don't tell their own abuse. They don't see it as an abuse until they realize they're old enough to look at it and say, throughout life experience to say, hey, that was truly abuse. You know, he lied to me about this and the other. He made me think that I was this and the other, but it wasn't. Now he was just trying to get advantage of me. So when you see the Michael Jackson victims talking on national TV and saying, he did that to us and the other, and then the Cosby abusers came out, Harvey Weinstein, right? Years after, right? And people are like, they're talking now, they're just doing this for money, they're just doing this, you know, to, they're just doing this, to get money from the celebrities, this and the other. Man, let's have some type of compassion. Okay, the recent case that I see is the Johnny Depp thing, right? I'm not saying that she could also be abusive to him. I can understand that as well. Okay. But I'm personally giving the benefit of the doubt to both, to each of them. But people seems to me like people are just crucifying her completely all over social media. And I'm thinking to myself, that is so sad, right? Because I'm sure it takes a lot for her to get up on the stage and say, hey, the person you think is so lovely, so charismatic, and everybody loves and has millions of followers is a complete different person to me behind closed doors. And some people, just because you will say something like that, will shut you down and say you are faking it, like it was done to me, right? Like I was basically told asked a couple times, really, like, why are you making that up? And you know, you forgive, of course, right? You forgive, right? Because that's what, if God forgives you, you forgive the person who abuses you. But you have to understand that abuse sometimes takes years for somebody to actually understand that they were actually being abused. It could have been even like physical, right? Because then, when people doubt what you say, they're like, oh, maybe he just swing his arm hitting me to hit me and he hit me by mistake, right? Because it is very brave to come out and say, "Hey, that person was physical with me and abusive. I want them to be held accountable." But it's also very safe to not say anything, right? Because what? You don't want everybody looking at you like the victim too, right? You don't want everybody to think of you, oh, I'm so sorry, what happened to you? Every single time they see you, because that's the other thing. People see you and they think that you're still in that state of mind for the rest of your life. And you can be having an overcoming type of day, and the minute they see you, they're like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And you're like, man, here we go with the same story. Like, I already overcame that, right? So a lot of the times, people that have been abused, they rather keep it quiet for years because, you know, one, they might not recognize it as an abuse, right? Two, they don't want to, who knows? They don't want to go through the whole process where everybody's looking at you with this, the side face, kind of like, you're the victim, and we feel so sorry, this and the other. And they don't want to go through the whole process. So to see, this trial and see them there, like on TV and being broadcast, and then everybody having an opinion about it and making TikToks about it, making fun of her. I'm like, man, what is this world turning into? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't care if she has a bad way with words. Let's just give her the benefit of the doubt. Because trauma is no joke. Okay, now she's being put to another trauma. Both of them are, because this is such a publicized trial. Okay, I'm almost done with this episode. I thank you so much for listening to this. And if you have any comments to say, or you can email me. Just go to my email, julissa@julissadesigns.com. I thank you for your time, and always be compassionate when somebody comes to you and tells you, hey, this situation is happening to me. Okay, can you give me some type of advice how to deal with it? Please don't ever doubt, even if you think it's a lie. Just hear people out, because a lot of the times you go to people with issues, right? And people think that you're asking them to resolve the issue. And you're like, I just want somebody to listen. You don't have to reply right away. Why do people feel like they need to reply right away? Listen to the whole story first before you start asking, really? Really? Like, it will be such a better world if we learn to just listen to people, listen to where they're coming from, and say, can that person who's so likable be actually a monster behind closed doors and have a character problem? Is that even possible? Let's just think about that for a second. Thank you guys so much. My name is Julissa. Thank you so much, and come back for more. God bless.